Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. And today, on this build with us, we're going to put together Captain Uriel Ventris, the Black Library 2021 model. Alright, let's get started. And you can see he comes on one sprue. So first things first, I have my baking tray in front of me. And the reason I do that is when I drop a bit, which will happen, it will fall onto the tray and hit the edge and not bounce away. So the first step I'm going to do is I lay out my instructions in front of me, and then I get my extra sharp clippers. You see the flat part of the clippers right there. I am going to start clipping out the model. I put it flush, and this prevents the plastic from mushrooming and gets a nice clean cut. You see how that fell away? And it didn't bounce off my table onto the ground. So what I like to do is I like to set the piece right where it's going to be on the picture. Right there. Alright, so I'm going to go around and do this page and clip these out. So the first page of instructions, I have all the pieces cut out. Now I'm going to clean up the model. So I'm going to start with my X-Acto blade and the little sprue gates. I want to make sure where I clipped it from the frame, that is completely smooth. Okay. And so I'll go around on all the pieces and I'll just smooth that down. Now something else you'll see on here is there are mold lines. They're slight. You don't have to remove them. I like to because I notice it in my paint jobs. One way to do it is Games Workshop sells a little scraping tool. Well, you turn your X-Acto blade sideways. Or what I prefer to do is I get out my little trusty file and I'll file. And you can pretty much see that it starts in a line and just wraps around the model. So once you find one part of it, you just keep going around until it comes off. And so I'm going to go around and do all these bits. Alright, so we've got all the bits from the first page clipped out. And so I'm going to get some plastic glue, which has obviously been in there a while. Alright, and just to be on the safe side, I'm going to take my little tool here and just clean the barrel. Alright, so now I'm going to start gluing this guy together. Something I should point out, this little nub you see at the bottom is not part of the sprue. That's going to fit into the base later on to hold him in place, so don't chop that off. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take the two bits. I am going to do a dry fit. So that means I'm going to put them on without any glue. That way I get a sense of where he's supposed to go. Okay. Now at all the little points, I just want to put a little dab of glue. And a lot of this will be out of sight of the model. I still don't want it squishing out around the edges. There we go. Got that in there. Next we'll start with his little sidearm. You can see that there's a little notch right there. Alright. Now, the thing I like about plastic glue is it actually fuses the two elements together. Unlike super glue, which just tightly bonds them, but the bond can be broken. However, super glue dries a lot harder, a lot faster than plastic glue. So that means that this leg is still unstable. I actually find that to be very helpful when I'm doing more complex builds, because if I have to jiggle the piece around to line stuff up, that's still possible. But this model fits together very beautifully, very well engineered. So it is coming together without having to twist or bucket. And so we're just going right down the numbers here. Alright, so we'll stabilize that and move on. I glued on the shoulder cloak and the rosette. I haven't glued on the arm yet. So before I start working on the second page, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. And what I want to do is start work on the base. And the reason for that is I made a comment that this is plastic glue, so it remains a little unstable. So what I'm going to do is, as I go through and assemble this, that's why I like to do it in multiple pages, is while I start work on the second page, first page can dry. So the mop bits from the first page. Alright, it's going to fit like that, a 40mm base. Stick to plastic glue here. Alright. So go ahead and get that down and sighted where we want. Alright, we're going to let that dry for a little bit. Now here's the piece, and something I like to do is drill out the gun barrels. So I've got my little drill bit. But sometimes these tiny little barrels don't always come out right. So something I like to do is I take my X-Acto blade and I notch a vertical line, then I notch a horizontal line, and where they meet, I would dig out a little speck. Just that's going to be a little guide point for my drill bit. And then I just take my drill bit and I check it from this angle, from that angle, make sure everything's straight. And just a little touch will do. And then what you can do is, if you don't think you got it flush and square, you take your X-Acto blade and just run it around along the edges of the hole until it's symmetrical. And then that removes all the X and the flushing there. And blow that grit off. Let's double check this. There we go. Alright, now I'll glue the arm on. Alright. Then I'll go ahead and put him on his base. Put a little line across his toe there. There we go. And there he can sit and cure into his final position. And that's going to free us up to do the rest of the sprue. So I'm going to do like I did on the first page. Start cutting and cleaning these off. Alright, I finished clipping out and cleaning the rest of the bits on page 2. This model's pretty well set here. So now I'm going to finish gluing him together. And since the bits are all over the model and really don't rely on each other for support, that means I can just bounce around putting them in. Now the left arm, surprised they didn't put some type of pin in there to secure the arm. But it fits. And something else I'm surprised about the model is that it didn't come with an alternate head option. So the helmeted version, get back here. There we go. And for the last bit, the shoulder pad. I am dropping stuff all over today. There we go. Alright, let's check the image there. Looks like it came together well. Alright, well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs. We'll see you next time.